My name is Natalie Reed, and for 18 years, my birthday had a strange family tradition. My younger sister got the gifts, and I got the lesson. Every June, my parents would say I was too mature for presents, then hand Lily a new phone, a designer bag, a trip, or a car key because she needed cheering up. On my 29th birthday, Lily arrived at my front gate, wearing white sunglasses, holding a coffee she had not paid for, and laughing about how cute my new neighborhood looked online. 10 minutes later, she saw the brass plaque beside my door, the appraisal folder on my kitchen island, and the words $2.3 million, printed in black ink. That was when her face went empty. Not jealous, not surprised, panicked. She looked at my mother, then at my father, and whispered, "You said she would never find out." The room went silent, in a way that made my skin turn cold. Before I tell you what they had hidden and why Lily tried to claim my house before dinner, tell me where you are watching from. I grew up in a house where fairness was treated like a rude suggestion. My mother Denise could turn favoritism into poetry. Lily was delicate. Lily was expressive. Lily needed confidence. I was practical. I was resilient. I understood things. That was how they explained taking from one daughter and calling it balance. My earliest clear birthday memory is my 11th. I had asked for a used keyboard because my music teacher said I had a good ear. My parents told me money was tight. That evening, Lily opened a pink bicycle with silver streamers, even though her birthday was 3 months away. My mother said, "Natalie, don't look like that. Your sister had a hard week." A hard week meant Lily had cried because a girl at school owned brighter markers. My hard weeks were invisible. When I got a fever, I was dramatic. When Lily got a cough, the house became a hospital. When I won a spelling competition, my father said, "Good job." When Lily learned 3 chords on a ukulele, my mother cried into a napkin. By 16, I stopped asking for anything. That made everyone more comfortable. My birthdays became dinners where Lily somehow needed the attention. One year she failed a math test, so my cake became a family support night. Another year she got dumped, so my parents bought her concert tickets. My mother said, "You wouldn't enjoy them anyway." I believed them longer than I want to admit. That is the embarrassing part about being neglected inside a family. You do not always recognize it as cruelty. Sometimes you call it maturity because that word hurts less. Sometimes you become proud of needing nothing, because needing nothing is the only way to survive being offered nothing. The only person who noticed was my grandmother, Evelyn Reed. She lived in a narrow blue house near the Oregon coast where the wind shook the windows and everything smelled like salt and old books. Every summer, she let me stay for 2 weeks. She taught me how to make soup balance a checkbook and sit in silence without apologizing. Grandma Evelyn never said my parents were unfair in front of me. She was too careful for that. But every birthday she sent a card with one sentence written under her name. Some gifts arrive late, but they still arrive. I thought it was just something old people wrote when they did not know what to buy. When I turned 18, Grandma called me and asked if I had received the envelope. I had no idea what she meant. My mother took the phone from my hand and said too brightly, "Evelyn, don't confuse her. Natalie is busy with graduation." Then she hung up and told me Grandma was getting forgetful. 3 months later, Grandma died after a stroke. My parents drove to the funeral without me because I had a scholarship interview the same morning. They said Grandma would have wanted me to focus on my future. I believed them because grief makes you stupid with trust. When they came home, my mother said there was no real estate, no money, just old furniture and paperwork. After that, I left for college on loans, scholarships, and a job shelving books until midnight. Lily stayed home for 2 years because she needed time to discover herself. My parents paid for photography classes, yoga retreats, a used Mini Cooper, and a closet full of clothes she later sold online. I told myself comparison was childish. At 23, I was working for a small architecture firm in Portland, drawing permit sets nobody praised and eating soup from vending machines. I loved buildings because they were honest. A wall either carried weight or it did not. A foundation either held or cracked. Houses did not pretend neglect was love. That was how I found the house. It was an old Queen Anne on Mariner's Hill, half hidden behind blackberry vines with a turret-stained glass windows and a porch that looked like it had been waiting for someone stubborn enough to save it. The listing called it legally complicated. That phrase should have scared me away. Instead, I requested the file. The property had been tied up in a trust dispute for years, neglected by temporary managers, rented badly, and nearly condemned twice. The moment I saw the original blueprints, I felt something I had not felt in my parents' house. Not once. Recognition. Like the building knew what it meant to be underestimated. The purchase took every dollar I had, every hour I could steal, and every bit of courage I had been building since childhood. I used restoration grants, a first-time buyer program, sweat equity, and a tiny inheritance from a former professor who had no children and left me enough to cover closing costs. My parents never asked how I managed it. They did not ask because they did not care until the house became beautiful. For 5 years I restored it room by room. I reglazed windows, stripped paint, learned plaster repair, negotiated with contractors, and spent weekends covered in dust. I lived in 2 rooms while the rest of the house looked like a crime scene for wallpaper. During those years, Lily posted birthday photos from rooftop bars and boutique hotels. My parents commented hearts under every picture. Our sunshine. Our princess. You deserve the world. On my birthdays, my mother sent a text, usually around 9 p.m. Hope you had a nice day. My father added a thumbs-up emoji if he remembered. Then came my 29th birthday. I had planned nothing dramatic. My friend Mara was bringing Thai food. My coworker Jonah had promised a terrible grocery store cake because he claimed expensive cake was emotionally dishonest. I was wearing paint-stained jeans and trying to fix a loose hinge when my mother called. Natalie, she said, using the soft voice she saved for manipulation, we are in town. I looked at the phone. Why? She laughed like I had said something charming. Can't a mother surprise her daughter on her birthday? Behind her I heard Lily say, ask if there's parking. I'm not walking uphill in these shoes. I should have said no. That is one of those sentences people say after they already know the ending. At the time, I thought maybe turning 29 had made me foolishly hopeful. Maybe they wanted to see the house. Maybe they remembered Grandma's old phrase about late gifts. Maybe this year would be different. They arrived in 2 cars. My parents stepped out first, looking around with the careful expressions of people trying to calculate value without appearing impressed. Lily got out next, filming the street for her followers. Birthday visit to Nat's mysterious little house, she said into her phone. She's been hiding from us, so we're investigating. Little house. That was the first warning. The second was my mother's silence when she saw the front porch. She did not say happy birthday. She did not hug me. She looked at the restored cedar shingles, the new copper gutters, the original stained glass, and her smile stiffened like wet paper drying wrong. My father whistled. You bought this, not you restored this, not you must be proud. Just suspicion wearing a casual jacket. I said yes. Lily pushed past me into the entry without asking, and stopped under the chandelier. Her sunglasses slid down her nose. Wait, she said. This is actually yours. Actually. That word did what years of insults had not done. It made me calm. Yes, Lily. Actually. She wandered through the front rooms, touching door frames, opening cupboards, filming details until I asked her to stop. She rolled her eyes. Relax. I'm giving you exposure. My mother whispered, don't be rude to your sister on your birthday. That was when Mara arrived with food and Jonah came behind her holding a cake that said, Happy Natalie in crooked blue letters. Lily laughed at it. My mother looked embarrassed. My father asked where the real meal was. I remember thinking the house felt smaller with them inside, like old habits had taken up space in the rooms. We ate in the kitchen because it was the only room fully finished. Mara tried to be polite. Jonah asked my father about his drive. Lily took photos of the tile, the brass fixtures, the custom shelving. Then she saw the appraisal folder near my laptop. I had left it there because the bank needed updated insurance documents. Lily opened it before I could stop her. Her face changed on the first page. She flipped once, twice, then stopped breathing normally. 2.3 million, she whispered. My father reached for the folder. My mother said Lily put that down, but Lily did not move. She was staring at the address like it had accused her of something. Then she looked at my mother and said the sentence that cracked my life open. You told me this house was gone. Mara's fork paused halfway to her mouth. Jonah set down the cake knife. My mother's face drained so quickly, I thought she might faint. My father closed his eyes, not like he was confused, but like he had been waiting for this mistake. I stood very still. What do you mean gone? Lily's mouth opened, then closed. My mother snapped. She doesn't mean anything. She's being dramatic. That was rich, coming from a woman who once called an ambulance because Lily had a panic attack over a bridesmaid dress color. But Lily was not performing. She looked terrified. My father stood and reached for the folder again. I moved it behind me. He said, "Natalie, this is private family business." I almost laughed. "It's my house, Dad. If there's private family business inside my appraisal, I think I'm invited." My mother's voice sharpened. "Do not take that tone with us in front of guests." Guests. Mara and Jonah were suddenly guests because witnesses were dangerous. Lily stood up so fast, her chair scraped the floor. "Mom, you said Grandma's house was sold before the trust settled. You said Natalie got cash instead." My whole body went cold. Grandma's house. Not a house. Grandma's house. The room blurred at the edges. I looked at my mother. This was Grandma Evelyn's. She pressed her lips together. My father said, "It's complicated." That was the third warning. In my family, complicated meant someone had done something ugly and hoped exhaustion would protect them from questions. I picked up the appraisal and turned to the property history. I had read it before, but not with this question in my mind. The trust name was there. E. Reed Coastal Preservation Trust. I had assumed Reed was a coincidence, because Reed is not rare, and because my parents had spent years teaching me not to believe good things could belong to me. My mother reached across the island. "Give me that." I stepped back. "No." Her eyes flashed. There she was. Not the soft mother from birthday posts. Not the worried mother from phone calls. The real one, furious because obedience had failed. "Natalie," she said, "you do not understand what your grandmother put this family through." I said, "Explain it." My father rubbed his forehead. Lily whispered, "I thought she knew." My mother spun toward her. "Be quiet." And just like that, I understood something new. Lily had been spoiled, yes. Selfish, yes. But she had also been fed a story. Maybe not the whole truth. Maybe enough to make her dangerous. Mara stood. "Natalie, do you want us to stay?" My mother laughed coldly. "This is family." I looked at Mara and Jonah, then at the folder in my hand. For the first time in my life, I chose witnesses over peace. "Stay," I said. "Please." My mother's face hardened like I had slapped her. My father finally spoke. "Your grandmother wanted both girls taken care of." I said. "That doesn't answer why Lily thought my house was gone." He looked at the floor. My mother said, "Because it should have been sold." Evelyn was sentimental and impractical. She left a mess. We did what we had to do. Lily sank back into her chair, pale now. "Mom, you said Natalie signed something." My stomach dropped. My mother's hand clenched. My father whispered, "Lily." But it was too late. The words were out, and they were alive. I turned slowly. Signed what nobody answered. The birthday cake sat between us, blue letters melting under the kitchen lights. That night did not explode all at once. It cracked in stages. First my mother tried denial, then my father tried authority, then Lily tried crying. Each tactic arrived like an old family song. My mother said I was misunderstanding. My father said documents were boring and legal people twisted everything. Lily said she could not breathe. I said, "If she can't breathe, call 911. Lily stopped crying long enough to glare at me. My mother gasped like I had kicked a saint. But Mara, calm, beautiful, Mara pulled out her phone and said I can call if needed. That was when Lily suddenly found enough oxygen to whisper, "No, don't." My father asked Mara and Jonah to leave. I said again that they could stay. He looked at me like he did not recognize the daughter who had once apologized for taking up a chair. "Natalie, you are making this hostile." I answered, "No, Dad. I think the hostility was already here. I'm just asking it questions." My mother stood so quickly the stool tipped behind her. "Fine. You want the truth. Your grandmother was obsessed with you. She thought Lily was spoiled and you were some tragic little genius. She left you things because she wanted to punish me." Her voice shook not with grief but rage. "I protected this family from her favoritism." Favoritism. Hearing my mother use that word almost made me dizzy. I thought of every birthday where Lily opened my wish, and I opened silence. Every time my mother told me love meant understanding. Every time my father watched unfairness happen, and called it peace. Now my grandmother's attempt to protect me was being called cruelty. What things, I asked. My mother looked away. My father answered because guilt sometimes leaks from the weakest wall. A birthday account. Some jewelry. The house interest. There were conditions. Lily stared at him. House interest. My father winced. Denise, we need to go. But I moved in front of the hallway. No, I said. You don't get to drop words like that in my kitchen and walk out. My mother's voice turned soft again, which frightened me more than shouting. Natalie, listen to me. You were 18. You had school. We handled paperwork. We used resources where they were most needed. Lily was struggling. There it was, the old altar. Lily was struggling, so Natalie had to disappear. Lily was sad, so Natalie had to pay. Lily was delicate, so Natalie had to be strong enough to be stolen from. The logic was so familiar I could almost admire its durability. It had survived childhood college grief and now apparently probate court. I asked one question. Did you forge my signature? The kitchen went silent. My father looked at my mother. Lily began crying again, quieter this time. My mother said, "That is an ugly word." I said, "So is theft." Her palm hit the counter. "After everything we gave you, you dare stand in this house and call us thieves." I looked around the kitchen I had restored with my own hands. "You didn't give me this house. You hid it," my father said. "You would have sold it anyway." I laughed once. "You don't know me at all." That sentence landed harder than I expected, because it was true and because everyone in the room knew it. Lily suddenly whispered, "I didn't know it was this house." I turned to her. "What did you know?" my mother snapped. "Nothing useful." But Lily kept looking at the floor. "I knew Grandma left something. Mom said it was unfair. She said Natalie had manipulated Grandma by acting lonely. She said the money should be balanced. Balanced. I almost heard the old birthday speeches in the word. Balance meant Lily got the gift because Natalie got the compliment. Balance meant Lily got the trip because Natalie got the grades. Balance meant my parents could steal from me and still feel like moral accountants. I gripped the counter until my fingers hurt. Mara touched my shoulder. "Natalie, call an attorney." My mother laughed. "Oh, of course. Bring strangers into this. Destroy your family over a misunderstanding." I looked at Lily, still pale, still shaking. "Was it a misunderstanding when you said I signed something?" She covered her mouth. My father said, "Lily, stop talking." That was the moment I knew the truth existed somewhere in paper. Families can lie forever, but documents age badly when hidden. Signatures, dates, transfers, checks, emails. Somewhere, there was a version of my life that did not depend on my mother's mood. Somewhere, Grandma Evelyn had left a map. I asked them to leave. My mother refused at first. She said I was emotional. My father said we should sleep on it. Lily said she needed water. I opened the front door and stood beside it. "You can leave on your own, or I can ask my guests to call for help." My mother stared like she had found a stranger wearing my face. Before leaving, she leaned close enough that only I could hear. "Be careful, Natalie. Houses this old can lose value very quickly when people start asking questions." It was not a warning about the market. It was a threat. Then she walked out with my father behind her. Lily paused on the porch, looked back and mouthed, "I'm sorry." I did not sleep that night. Mara stayed on the couch. Jonah sat at the kitchen table until midnight, making a list of local estate attorneys, because he said panic should have administrative support. I wanted to cry, but my body chose paperwork instead. I pulled every purchase document, title search, restoration, grant insurance file, and email from the last 5 years. At 2:14 a.m., I found the first clue. In the original title packet, one appendix had been marked historical trust reference only. I had ignored it during purchase because my closing attorney said the disputes were resolved. Inside was Grandma's trust name, my full legal name, and a line that made my breath stop. Primary intended beneficiary, Natalie Claire Reed, upon age 18, subject to preservation covenant. I read it 5 times. Intended beneficiary, age 18, preservation covenant, not Lily, not Denise, not family discretion. Me. My grandmother had not forgotten me. She had not left me a sentimental phrase. She had left me a house and a promise. By morning I had an appointment with an attorney named Vivian Hart, a woman with silver hair, sharp eyes, and the kind of calm that made chaos feel embarrassed. She listened without interrupting, while I told her about the birthdays, Grandma's phone call, the hidden envelope, Lily's panic, and my mother's threat on the porch. Vivian read the trust reference, then the appraisal, then the title history. Her expression changed slowly, not dramatically. Worse, carefully. "Natalie," she said, "I need to pull probate records and trust filings, but this may involve fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, and possibly forged consent." I felt every word land like a stone. I asked the question that had been eating through me all morning. "Could they take my house?" Vivian looked up. "The house you purchased is legally in your name now. That matters. But the bigger question is whether you should have had rights to it long before you bought it." She tapped the trust line. "You may have bought what was already meant for you." That sentence broke something open in me. I had spent 5 years sacrificing to earn the house, and suddenly there was a chance I had also been buying back what my family buried. My childhood rearranged itself in a crueler shape. The missing gifts, the fake poverty, Grandma's strange cards, my mother's fear when I turned 18. Vivian told me to stop speaking with my family except in writing. She told me to preserve every message, camera clip, voicemail, and document. Then she asked if my parents had ever used my social security number, opened accounts, or signed forms for me after I turned 18. I started to say no. Then I remembered the student loan paperwork. I remembered sitting at the kitchen table before college while my mother pointed to highlighted lines and said, "Sign here, here, and here." I remembered asking what one form meant. She said it was just financial aid verification. My father said, "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." I signed because I was 18 and trained to obey. Vivian's jaw tightened. "We'll request copies." Before I left, she said something I did not know I needed. "Your parents may try to make this about gratitude. Don't let them. Gratitude does not legalize theft." I sat in my car afterward and cried for 10 minutes, not because I felt weak, but because the truth had finally become too heavy to hold standing up. The first message came from my mother before I reached home. "You embarrassed us last night. Lily is devastated. Your father barely slept. I hope you are proud. Not happy birthday. Not we need to explain. Not your grandmother loved you. Just the same old machine turning their fear into my guilt." I did not answer. My father emailed an hour later. "We should discuss this as adults. Lawyers will only make everyone poorer." That one almost made me smile. People who have done nothing wrong rarely fear documentation that quickly. Lily sent nothing until evening. Then a single line appeared. I didn't know all of it. I stared at that message for a long time. All of it. Not anything. All of it. There is a difference between innocence and selective ignorance. Lily had lived inside the benefits of my erasure for years. Maybe she had not built the machine, but she had accepted every gift it produced and called the wrapping paper love. The next day, my mother escalated. She posted a birthday photo of Lily from years ago, one where Lily stood beside a tower of presents while I sat in the background cutting cake. The caption said, "A mother's heart breaks when one daughter forgets that family sacrificed so she could shine." She did not tag me. She did not need to. Relatives began messaging within minutes. Aunt Carol wrote, "Your mother gave you everything." Cousin Beth said, "Don't let money ruin family." A church friend I had not seen since childhood sent, "Your sister has always loved you." I looked at those messages and realized my mother had prepared the audience before I understood there was a stage. For years, she had told people I was distant, ungrateful, secretive, ambitious. That way, when the truth came out, my pain would look like personality. It was an elegant kind of cruelty. Build the victim into a villain early, and later nobody asks why she finally screams. I screenshotted everything and sent it to Vivian. Vivian replied with one sentence. "Let her talk." That was harder than any legal filing. I wanted to post the trust line. I wanted to show the birthday pictures. I wanted to write, "Ask my mother why my sister knew about a signature I never remembered signing." Instead, I stayed quiet and let my family confuse silence with weakness. 3 days later, Lily came alone. I saw her through the doorbell camera standing on my porch in a beige coat, looking smaller without my parents beside her. I almost ignored her. Then she held up a shoebox and said into the camera, "I brought something Grandma gave me. I think it was supposed to be yours." I opened the door but did not move aside. Lily looked past me into the house like she still could not accept it existed. "Can I come in?" she asked. "No," I said. The word surprised both of us. She swallowed. "Okay." She handed me the shoebox with trembling fingers. "Mom told me to throw this away, years ago." Inside were birthday cards. Not mine, from Grandma. Lily's. At least 10 of them. But each envelope had my name written first, then crossed out. Natalie. A thick line. Lily. My throat closed. Under the cards was a small velvet pouch containing a gold locket I had seen in old photos around Grandma's neck. Lily whispered. "Mom said Grandma changed her mind about who deserved things." I opened one card. Grandma's handwriting filled the page. "Natalie, for your 14th birthday, I hope this helps with the keyboard. Music belongs to anyone brave enough to listen closely." Inside was a check stub. $600. Deposited into my parents' account. I opened another. For Natalie's 16th toward the summer architecture program, check stub, $1.200. Another. For Natalie's 18th enclosed, is the trust summary. Do not let anyone convince you late love is lesser love. The envelope was empty except for a torn corner of a legal letter. My hands started shaking. Lily was crying now, but softly, without performance. "I thought Grandma didn't like me. Mom said she favored you. She said giving me the cards made it fair." I looked at her. "You opened cards with my name crossed out and never asked." Her face crumpled. "I was a kid. You were 18 when you got the locket." That landed. Lily looked down. "I liked being chosen," she whispered. The honesty was so ugly it almost became clean. For the first time, she did not hide behind tears, misunderstanding, or our mother's script. She named it. She liked being chosen. I had spent my life paying for that feeling. I took the shoebox and stepped back. Lily said, "Natalie, Mom is scared." I answered, "Good." Her eyes widened. Maybe she expected comfort. Maybe she expected the old version of me to apologize for the sharpness. I did not. She should be scared if she forged my name and stole from a trust. Lily lowered her voice. She said, "If you push this, Dad could lose his pension." She said they might lose the lake condo. I laughed once. "There it is." Lily flinched. "What? You didn't come because Grandma's cards kept you awake. You came because Mom sent you to soften me before the consequences reached her." Her silence answered for her. I closed the door gently, which felt more powerful than slamming it. Through the camera, I watched her stand there for almost a minute before walking away. I wanted to feel triumphant. Instead, I felt tired in a way sleep would not fix. Betrayal is exhausting because it makes you recheck every memory. Vivian called the next morning. We found the probate file. Her voice was careful. "Your grandmother created a trust, naming you as beneficiary of the Mariners Hill property interest, a birthday education fund, and several personal items. Your mother was temporary trustee only until you turned 18. I sat down before she finished. There is a document dated 2 weeks after your 18th birthday," Vivian continued. "It claims you declined your interest in the property and allowed liquidation for family needs." My mouth went dry. "I never signed that." Vivian said, "I expected you would say that." Then she emailed me the scan. My signature was there, but wrong. Too round, too careful, like someone copying from a birthday card. Under it was my mother's witness signature, and my father's notarized statement. My father was not a notary, but his best friend was. Suddenly, every free dinner that man had eaten at our house when I was a teenager looked different. The misunderstanding had not been simple. My family had not merely assumed I did not care. They had built a legal story where I looked generous, detached, and willing. They told Lily I had received cash, told relatives I had been helped, told themselves they were balancing love. And under all of it sat a signature that was not mine. Vivian told me the trust property had gone through failed transfers, tax issues, and legal disputes after my supposed refusal. It eventually entered a distressed sale years later, where I bought it without knowing its origin. Ironically, she said, "Your restoration may have preserved the asset your grandmother wanted preserved." That irony did not feel poetic. It felt like being robbed, then applauded for rebuilding the room where the robbery happened. I asked what came next. Vivian said, "We send notice. We request accounting. We challenge the forged release. We also warn them not to interfere with your property, reputation, or employment." I thought of my mother's threat about old houses losing value. What if they try? Vivian paused. Then we let them create evidence. That became the strange anthem of the next month. Let them create evidence. Let my mother post. Let my father email. Let Lily panic. Let every lie walk into daylight wearing its own shoes. The formal letter went out on a Monday. By Monday evening, my father had called 17 times. My mother left 5 voicemails, each one a different costume. First outrage. Then tears. Then concern. Then religion. Then accusation. You are letting a lawyer poison you against your own blood, she sobbed in the last one. I saved every voicemail. I did not call back. On Tuesday, my mother posted that some daughters build beautiful houses but have ugly hearts. On Wednesday, Aunt Carol commented that I had always been jealous of Lily. On Thursday, someone anonymously reported my restoration permits to the city, claiming illegal work and unsafe wiring. That was my mother's first real mistake. Every permit was clean. Every inspection had passed. I had spent 5 years being obsessive because old houses punish shortcuts. The city inspector, Mr. Alvarez, arrived apologetic and left impressed. He said whoever reported this clearly didn't know how thorough your files are. I sent Vivian the inspection clearance. She replied, useful. A week later, my insurance agent called. Someone had asked whether my home was used for commercial events and whether there were family ownership disputes. The caller claimed to be my sister. Lily denied it when Vivian sent the inquiry. I almost believed her until the next mistake arrived. A local lifestyle account posted photos of my house with the caption, "Rumor says this historic home was bought with family money, and now the owner refuses to share it with the sister it was meant for." The photos were from Lily's birthday visit video, cropped, filtered, and arranged to make my home look like stolen luxury. For 1 hour I shook so badly I could not type. Then Mara came over, sat beside me, and said, "We answer with documents, not adrenaline." We gathered screenshots, timestamps, Lily's original video, my purchase records, permit records, and Grandma's trust excerpt. Vivian prepared a cease and desist letter to Lily, my parents, and the account. That night, Lily called from an unknown number. I answered because some part of me still wanted to hear which sister would speak. The spoiled one, the scared one, or the honest one from the porch. She was crying hard. "I didn't tell them to post that," she said. "But you gave them the video," I answered. "I didn't think they'd use it like that." I closed my eyes. "Lily, that sentence is the story of your whole life." She went quiet. I continued. "You hand people weapons because you believe you won't be the one bleeding." For once she did not argue. She whispered, "Mom says the house should be sold and split." There it was. The real plan. Not reconciliation. Not truth. Sell and split. My $2.3 million home, the place I had restored board by board, was now being discussed like a birthday cake Lily deserved the bigger slice of. I asked, "And what do you say?" Lily breathed unevenly. "I don't know anymore." That answer hurt more than a lie. I could fight cruelty, I could fight manipulation, but cowardice wrapped in confusion has a special talent for making you feel unreasonable. I said, "Then figure it out somewhere else." I hung up, blocked the number, and finally cried. Not for the house. For every year I had waited for Lily to choose me back. The public turn came from the last person I expected, my father's best friend, Paul Mercer, the notary. Vivian subpoenaed records connected to the forged release. Paul panicked before anyone even filed in court. He called my father called my mother called Lily, and Lily unbelievably called me. "Paul is scared," she said. "Mom says you need to withdraw the request before he gets dragged into this." I stared at the phone. "Did you just warn me or threaten me?" Lily whispered. "I don't know." "Then stop calling until you do." I sent the call log to Vivian. She only replied, "Interesting." 2 days later, Paul's attorney contacted Vivian. He wanted to cooperate. According to him, my mother brought the release already signed, claiming I was away at college, and had given permission. My father pressured him to notarize it as a favor. Paul admitted he never saw me sign. He also had an old email from my mother. The email said, "Natalie is too emotional about Evelyn. This is best handled before she starts asking questions." There it was in plain language. Before she starts asking questions. My whole young adulthood had been arranged around making sure I did not ask the right question at the right time. Vivian forwarded the email with no commentary. She did not need any. I printed it and placed it beside Grandma's cards, the forged signature, the permit complaint, the insurance inquiry, and screenshots of Lily's video. The folder was getting heavy. For once the weight comforted me. Paper remembered what people denied. My mother's final performance happened at my house on a Sunday morning. She arrived with Lily, my father, Aunt Carol, and 2 cousins. Not a visit. A delegation. I saw them on the camera before the doorbell rang. My mother held a bakery cake, which would have been funny if it were not so obscene. I opened the door, but left the chain on. My mother smiled with wet eyes. We brought a late birthday cake. Behind her, Lily looked miserable. My father stared past me into the entry. Aunt Carol held her phone low, recording badly. I said, "You are not allowed on my property for private discussions." My mother's smile trembled. "Natalie, please. We are here to heal." That word had become one of her favorite tools. Heal meant forget. Heal meant surrender. Heal meant let the person who harmed you choose the pace of your forgiveness. I looked at the cake. Pink frosting. White flowers. Lily's favorite. Not mine. I said, "Leave." Aunt Carol stepped forward. "This is exactly what your mother means. You're cold." I looked at her phone. "Carol, if you're recording, make sure you capture this clearly. My attorney has already sent notice. Nobody here has permission to enter, film, or claim ownership of this property." My father's face reddened. "You would call the police on your own parents," I answered. "You forged your own daughter's signature." The porch went silent. Aunt Carol's phone lowered. One cousin stepped back. My mother whispered, "How dare you say that in front of people?" I said, "You brought the people." Lily suddenly started crying. Not the old dramatic kind. This was ugly, breathless, uncontrolled. "Mom, stop," she said. My mother turned on her. "Not now." Lily wiped her face with both hands. "No, I can't keep doing this." My father hissed her name, but Lily looked at me and said Natalie didn't sign it. The words hung in the air. My mother went still. Aunt Carol stared between us. Lily continued shaking. "Mom told me years ago that Natalie gave up Grandma's trust because she didn't want family obligations. But last week I found the draft email. Mom wrote that Natalie couldn't know until everything was moved." My mother slapped her. It happened so fast nobody moved until after the sound cracked across the porch. Lily touched her cheek, stunned. My father grabbed my mother's arm. Aunt Carol gasped. I felt something inside me go very quiet. Not sympathy exactly. Recognition. Lily had finally been punished for telling the truth. I unlocked the chain and stepped outside, phone in hand. "I'm calling the police." My mother shouted, "This is family business." I looked at Lily, then at the red mark on her cheek. "No," I said. "This is evidence." That was the first time my mother looked afraid of me, not angry, not disappointed, afraid. The police report did not solve everything, but it changed the temperature. Aunt Carol stopped posting. My cousins disappeared from the group chat. Lily gave Vivian the draft email screenshots of messages from my mother, and one voicemail where my father said, "If Natalie gets the house story straight, we lose everything." Everything. That was what they called the truth when it threatened their comfort. Not justice, not accountability, everything. My parents had treated my inheritance, my birthdays, my grandmother's wishes, and my home as resources inside their private economy. Lily received the gifts. I received the character building. They received the control. The legal process took months. It was not cinematic. There were no dramatic courtroom speeches under golden lights. There were depositions, accounting requests, bank records, expert handwriting, analysis, and emails my parents probably forgot existed. Revenge, I learned, often arrives as a PDF attachment with a boring subject line. The handwriting expert confirmed the release signature was not mine. Bank records showed Grandma's birthday checks had been deposited by my mother and used for Lily's gifts, trips, lessons, and eventually a down payment on Lily's failed boutique. Trust funds meant for property preservation had been redirected through family management fees. My father tried to say he trusted my mother with finances. Vivian asked if he also trusted her when he signed the witness statement. He had no good answer. My mother tried to say Grandma created division. Vivian asked whether forging a signature healed that division. My mother's attorney requested a break. Lily gave a statement that was messy but useful. She admitted she received gifts originally marked for me. She admitted she knew about balancing after 18. She admitted my mother told her the Mariners Hill house should have been hers because she was more family-oriented. That phrase made me laugh for the first time in weeks. Family-oriented. Lily had never paid a bill she did not complain about. She forgot our grandmother's birthday twice. She called me only when she needed help editing captions, applications, apologies, or resumes. But in my mother's world, family-oriented meant loyal to the lie. By that definition, I had always been a failure. The settlement came in early winter. My parents did not go to prison, though part of me wanted consequences that loud. Instead, they agreed to financial restitution, legal fees, a formal acknowledgement of the forged release, and a statement that neither they nor Lily had any ownership claim to my home. Paul lost his notary commission and paid a penalty. My mother resigned from the Historical Society after the board learned she had attacked the owner of a preserved landmark while pretending to support preservation. My father retired earlier than planned, because the scandal made clients nervous. Lily moved out of my parents' condo and into a small apartment across town. The day the agreement was signed, my mother left me one voicemail. I listened, because Vivian said it might matter. Her voice sounded older but not softer. "I hope that house keeps you warm, Natalie," she said, "because you have chosen walls over family." I almost deleted it immediately. Then I saved it under a folder named Reasons. Walls over family. She still did not understand. The house was never just walls. It was evidence that someone had tried to love me correctly. It was Grandma Evelyn saying across years of lies, "You are not imaginary. What happened to you happened. What was meant for you was real." Lily came by once after the settlement alone, with no camera and no sunglasses. She stood on the sidewalk because she knew better than to approach the porch. "I'm not here to ask for anything," she said. I almost said that would be a first, but I was tired of turning pain into cleverness. She apologized. Not perfectly. Not cleanly. She said she loved being the favorite because being the favorite felt like being safe. She said she had convinced herself I did not care about birthdays because that made it easier to enjoy mine. She said when she saw the house, she panicked because it proved my life had continued without needing her. I listened. Then I said, "I don't forgive you right now." She nodded like she deserved it, which was new. "I know." She handed me a small paper bag. Inside was Grandma's locket polished with my name engraved on the back. "I should have given it back years ago," she said. "Yes," I answered. "You should have." That was not a reconciliation. Life is not always generous enough to turn damage into reunion. But it was a clean moment, and clean moments mattered to me now. Lily walked away without asking to come inside. I stood in the doorway holding the locket and felt grief move through me without knocking me down. On my 30th birthday, I threw a dinner in the restored dining room. Mara came. Jonah came. Mr. Alvarez from the city came because he had become strangely invested in my baseboards. We ate pasta, grocery store cake, and too much garlic bread. Nobody asked me to be grateful for crumbs. Nobody gave my birthday away. Before dessert, I hung Grandma's locket on a small hook near the stained glass window. The evening sun hit it and scattered gold across the wall. I thought about every birthday card my mother had intercepted, every gift rerouted, every moment I was told wanting anything made me selfish. Then I looked around my full table and understood something. A stolen gift can be recovered. A stolen childhood cannot. That is the part nobody wants to say out loud. Money can be repaid. Titles can be corrected. Houses can be restored. But there is no legal form that gives you back the little girl watching her sister open the present she asked for. Still, healing does not require the past to become fair. It requires the truth to stop being negotiable. My parents wanted me to treat their fear as remorse. Lily wanted her confusion to count as innocence. Relatives wanted peace because peace was easier for them than justice. I learned to disappoint all of them. So here's what I know now. When a family gives one child every gift and teaches the other child to clap, they are not building love. They are building a stage. And one day, when the forgotten child steps off it, everyone who depended on her silence calls it betrayal. My sister got every birthday gift for 18 years. She got the bikes, the jewelry, the trips, the applause, the easy forgiveness. But she panicked when she saw my $2.3 million home because for the first time she realized I had received something she could not unwrap, perform with, or take without consequences. I received the truth, late damaged, buried under forged papers, and family lies, but still mine. And maybe that is the question I carry now. If people only remember your birthday when they can steal the gift, are they really family or just witnesses hoping you never check the receipt?